Hi, everyone. So today I'm going to talk to you about Google workflow tips and tricks. And basically, how this came about is I'm an instructional technology specialist. And during one of the PDs I was giving for my faculty this year, it was on a completely unrelated topic on hyperdocs. And as I was floating around my Google Drive, one of the teachers said, "Ooh, how do you have your drive organized? And why does it look like that? And why is this folder here? And such, and things like that." And she made a comment about how, she'd really love to learn just more tips and tricks about Drive itself. And it's funny because as a technology specialist, that's my job. And that's really kind of something I hadn't thought about. So after that, I decided to put together this hyperdoc that gives all sorts of tips and tricks that are some of my favorites. And I'm coming at this from a dual role. I am not only an instructional technology specialist, but I am also an adjunct professor at 3 universities. So I use Google Docs, Google Drive, Gmail for a lot of different purposes. So what I decided to do was to break up this document into 3 separate spaces. You can see that this column here deals with Google Drive. We have specific for Google Docs here. And then I also have advanced, and advanced not only covers a little bit of Drive, it covers some outside programs as well. And it also covers some Gmail things that I use in the capacities that I mentioned before. And also, I made sure when I was putting this together to include some more simple beginner tips and tricks, for example, creating a folder within Google Drive, to more advanced features such as replying from various emails. So this actual hyperdoc is available to you in 2 different places. You can see there is a shortcut right here at the top, which is a bit.ly shortcut, a bit.ly shortcut. And then also I have it stored on my blog where I keep all of my materials that are free for anyone to use and reuse. So definitely take a look at those 2 places. So I'm not going to take you through everything in this entire hyperdoc, but one thing I do want to point out to you, each one of these pages is its own hyperlink. So for example, if I clicked on adding new files to a folder and I clicked on this particular page, it's going to bring up, when possible, an animated GIF that I put together to show you how to actually do the task at hand. And it's also going to give you step by step. Some people prefer visual to actually see how to do this. Other people prefer step by step. So both of those are available. And again, those are on every single page of the hyperdoc. So you can certainly come to and find things that are relevant to your specific needs. So I'm going to start out with one of the ones that I think is the simplest, but honestly, one of the most powerful. And that is coming over to starred folders. And in order to do that, I would come into my Google Drive. And basically what a starred folder is going to do is it's going to take some file or an individual folder, and it is going to attach a star to it. And then it's going to put it in its own separate little section of your drive. So for example, things that I might have starred. For my school this year, we had a Google Drive that was, a massive Google Drive folder full of all sorts of information for the entire faculty. I always made sure to star that folder so I didn't have to go back and search through my drive. Another example is when I'm teaching courses for the university, I keep Excel spreadsheets where I keep track of assignments that have been turned in. I might star that as well. Now, files that I access on a regular basis, those are going to show up here in quick access. Not everybody loves quick access. I've had teachers tell me they absolutely love having it there because, it's kind of your previously visited sites. I have other teachers telling me they can't stand it, that it just bothers them. If you do not like quick access, and this is not on the hyperdoc, this is just a tip for you, you can go into your settings for your drive and you can come down to suggestions right here where it says make relevant files handy. If I uncheck this box and then I say done, you'll notice when I come back, if I refresh, my quick access folders are now gone. So again, personal preference for each of you. I'm going to go ahead and put mine back real quick. And again, you can see I'm going to settings, I'm going to suggestions. If I want quick access available, I'm going to check it. I'm going to say done. And then remember, I have to come back in and I have to refresh. So they're there again. So getting back to starred folders and starred documents. Let's say the Google Workflow Tips and Tricks sheet that I'm working with you with today, I want to make sure I star this so it's available. I'm going to right click on it, and all I'm going to do is I'm going to, well, this one, look at this, it's already starred because it says remove star. So I'm actually going to come off of that. Let's just take this guy here. I know this one's new. It's going to say add star. And so now it tells me that it's been added to my star folder. Now, if you take a look right here in your left menu, you can see where it says starred. If I click on that, it's only going to have those files that I marked as starred. So you can see, here's my drive. I've got, mine's pretty organized, but I've got these files and folders and spreadsheets just loose. But let's say my drive is not organized and I want to make sure that I can find something quickly. I add a star to it and I come over to starred. And again, you saw me do this before. If I want to remove a star, same thing. I click on the file, I say remove star, and notice it disappeared from my menu. So another thing that people like to do sometimes as well is to change the color of their folders. Google Drive folders are default by gray. You could see that I've got a bunch of them here. But what I do is I change the colors for university courses that I am teaching right now. And again, it's just a quick visual just to help me see quickly where it's at. So let's say I come to this university folder and I do want to change the color of that. Again, I select it, I right click, and I just come right here to change color. And I can go ahead and I can make it a different color. And when I decide that, oh, I'm done with that, I don't need it anymore, I can come back in, change color, and I could actually put it back to the default gray. So again, starred folders, super simple trick down here, but something that really helps me stay organized. So that's all I'm going to show you for Google Drive. Let's move into some specifics for Google Docs. Force copy up here is one of my absolute favorite things. And basically, it does what its name implies. It forces someone to make a copy of a file. So let's say you say, oh, Nicole, I'd love to use this Google Tips and Tricks with my teachers. Can I make a copy of it? Well, I'd absolutely say yes, please do share it. I would love that as long as you give me attribution. But I might not want you to have my original. I might want to have you make a copy. So if you notice right up here in the URL, right now at the very end, it says edit. That means I can come in here and I can edit. You can see that I just added an M right there. If I want to force you to make a copy of this document and not change my original, I can come up here to the URL, and at the very bottom where it says, or I'm sorry, the very end where it says edit, I'm going to erase that and I'm going to type in the word copy. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight this entire URL, and that's the URL that I'm going to send to you. Now, we can try this, and I've just made a copy of the link. I'm not guaranteeing it's going to work, and I'll explain why in a minute. If I come over to a different browser and I type this in, because I'm currently logged in to my Gmail account, it might automatically show me the document, but we're going to test it and we're going to see if that is still working. Sometimes if you go to a different browser altogether and you paste in where it says copy, it'll actually treat it like it's a copy. When I typed it in, there we go, I'm waiting. Okay, so you could see what it does. Right here, it's telling me sign in. So I have to sign in, and then it will actually create a copy and it will put it right into my drive. So this way, I am guaranteed to make sure that you do not goof up my original. And again, this goes great with kids because if you tell kids to make a copy, kids might not always do it correctly. So if you tell them, well, not even if you tell them, if you change the word edit to the word copy and you force them to make a copy, then you are absolutely guaranteed to make sure that they don't goof it up. Now, I'm not sure if you just saw what I did, but I went up to the top, and sometimes somebody will force you to make a copy and you're going to say, you know what? I need to check out what this is before I can actually make a copy of it. Some people don't want to clutter up their drive, so they want to check it out first. So you notice what I did at the end. I took the word copy and I changed it to the word preview. And when I do that, what it will do is it'll show me an actual preview, like right here. So now if I actually want to make a copy of this, I can go back in and I can change that word preview to the word copy. But basically, this will give me a preview. I'm going to quit Firefox, and here I back am in my original Chrome. So force copy, absolutely love it. For me, with students, it works much better to actually force them to make a copy as opposed to saying make a copy of your own. So that is one of the tips that I love. And the next one, making docs view only, no download or prints. This is in the individual doc itself in the share files. So you can see here that right here, I have the little GIF showing you how to do it. I have all the steps to do it. But if I come up here to share, and then I have to go to the advanced setting, and notice that the advanced setting at the very bottom, it says prevent editors from changing access and adding new people, or also disable options to download, print, and copy for commenters and viewers. Now, I can see you wanting to check that box if you have a list, let's say, of emails for your class parents, and your room rep wants to see, who's in charge of bringing paper cups to the party and who's bringing paper plates and so on. I can see you selecting disable options to download, print, and copy for the people that are actually viewing that, because you just want them to be able to look at it. I also, unfortunately, know of some I don't know what I call them, web teachers, or I don't want to say web celebrities, but people that are fantastic about sharing their content online, saying, here's a list of resources I created. They're great. I have recently noticed that some of them have started making their documents view only so they cannot be downloaded or printed. And it's been my understanding that the reason they've done that is they've found that some people have actually stolen their content. So that was a personal preference that they did to make sure that the rest of their content doesn't get taken. So unfortunately, sometimes that happens, but I wanted to make sure that you were aware of how to do that. It's one of my tips and tricks. Another one, which again, this is more of a personal preference thing, but you can actually take any files that are uploaded and convert them. So for example, if you are uploading Word documents and you want them to automatically change to Google Docs or vice versa, you can do that within your settings for your drive. So here I am back on my drive. And if I go over to the little settings cog, you could see right here, it says convert uploads. And again, it's just more or less a personal preference. I do convert any Word files up into Google Docs just so that I can easily manipulate them. But personal preference, just for people that are interested in how to do that. That was a nice, easy, quick one. So let's go ahead and let's get into some of the advanced features for today. These are ones that come more into play for me in my role as an adjunct professor at the university level, but some of these are amazing, and some of them, yes, I have used in my role as an instructional coach as well. And the first one is creating filters within Gmail, and I absolutely love this tool. So basically, a filter is a set of rules that you would give to a specific email. And I'll give you an example of how I've used it at the school level. Last year and previous years, I was responsible for uploading all of our parent email blasts to our school website. So essentially, the administration would send out a blast. It would come to my Gmail account, and then I would have to copy it over and put it on the website. Well, somewhere along the way, those messages started being sent to spam. And I'm not quite sure why, but I was missing them and they weren't getting placed on the website in a timely fashion. So what I did was I went into my settings for Gmail and I clicked on filters. And what I did was I created a filter for that specific email address. So the from would be the email blast web address. So if it was, abcschool.org, I would put that up here. And then what I would do is I would come over to create or search. Actually, they've changed it a little bit. Oh, wrong command. Settings, filters. That's one thing you absolutely love about Google is they offer amazing things. But they actually do change some of their settings every now and again. So I'm just going to go ahead and put in, let's say, one of my old email accounts. And then if I come over here and I say create filter, I can tell it what to do when an email comes in from that particular email address. I can automatically say mark it as read. I don't want to worry about it. I can automatically have it deleted. So let's say you have some spam coming in and you're trying to unsubscribe from this email list and you can't seem to get unsubscribed from it. You can put the email address in and create a filter that says, when I get an email from this address, automatically delete it. Now, in terms of my school administration blast, what I did was I created a filter that said, never send it to spam. So that when it came in, Google would automatically want to throw it in my spam, but it would catch the filter and it would place it inside my inbox. So that guaranteed that I was never going to miss one of those emails. So I absolutely love that as well. That was a great feature. Another one that's not listed on my tips and tricks, but does kind of fall under filters, and you should definitely check it out, is you can send a canned response. And basically a canned response is you're out of office, I'll return on Tuesday. Or let's say you have a field trip coming up and the top 5 questions that parents are going to ask, what day is the field trip? How much money? What do I need to bring? What time? What you can do is you could create a canned response that basically has the answers to all of that. And when you create the filter, if it has the words field trip, you can have it automatically reply back to the sender, thank you for your email about the field trip. Here are the 5 questions that are, asked most frequently. Please check that out. So there are some great things that you could do with filters. And, I just wanted to make sure that you were aware of those because I do absolutely love those. So let's go back to our tips and tricks. That was filters. A couple other ones that I want to point out before time runs out. Multiple profiles on Chrome. These are absolutely great. If you take a look at the very top, you could see I am logged into Chrome right now. You can also see along the top all of my bookmarks. So a lot of these are my work email, my university emails, and so on. I have all of those bookmarks for obviously quick, easy access. But for example, Michigan State, who I adjunct for, also uses Google Drive. So if I want to get to a series of bookmarks that only relate to Michigan State, what I can do is I can come up here to my profile and I can create a new profile. And in this case, if it says MSU and I click on that profile, it'll open up a new window for me. And you could see now I have different bookmarks that are saved, and these apply only to this university. So you can see I know which profile I'm in up here. So a good example of when you might use this is, let's say if you have kids at home and you are sharing a laptop or a computer and your kids have Pokemon Go and all their games, and their schoolwork saved on their profile, but you don't want that mixed in with your bookmarks, you could go into the Chrome setting and you can create multiple profiles. So each one of you has your very own profile. Now, you also, one note on that, you saw how easy it was for me to just come in and switch over. You would just have to be aware of that if you have multiple people using the same computer, that they can access each other's bookmarks and Chrome profiles. So something to keep in mind there. Another one of my all-time favorites is the reply from. This is such an amazing tool for me. As I mentioned earlier, I adjunct for some different universities, and right now I'm adjuncting for 3 universities in total. So I have a series of different email accounts that I need to check daily, and I don't want to miss content when it comes in. So basically what I've done is I've gone into each of my university emails and I've had emails that come. So say, for example, Dominican University. Let's say a student emails me at my Dominican email account. It will automatically send a copy of that to my personal Gmail account, because you could see I already have a test right here that I've done. It automatically comes over. So I could say, hey, right away, there's an email. I don't have to log out of Google and Gmail and then log into Dominican's email. I see right here that it's already, in my inbox. What I have done is I have gone into my settings for Gmail, and under accounts and import, I've actually created different email accounts within my regular Gmail account. And I'll explain what that means. So you could see right here, my default email in Gmail is my personal, Nicole Zumpano right here. But I also have profiles set up for my Dominican account and also my Michigan Estate account. And basically what happens is I can command Gmail. If I get an email from a student at Dominican and it comes to my personal Gmail account, I don't want to respond from my personal Gmail account. So right here, I have that option. I could say reply from the default address, which is my Gmail account, or I could say reply from the same address that it was sent to. So for example, if a student sent it to my Dominican account, it forwards it to my personal, but when I respond from my personal, it still shows up as if I'm responding from Dominican. And I can show you during my test, this one right here, you could see I just sent it to myself. If I go to click on reply, and if I click on the to button, you could see where it says from, right? Because I have that radio button selected, it's automatically sending it from my Dominican account. But if I wanted to change that, you can notice now I have a little drop-down menu, and I can actually select which email I want it to be sent from, returned. So again, that is up here. It's detailed for you. Reply from emails. That one's a little bit more advanced, takes a little bit more explanation. You can see that there are a lot of steps that take place in that. So if you are interested in that, definitely check that out. Then, for time's sake, I will give you one more small one, which is just kind of a fun one that some people like to spice up their drive. Is you can actually add emojis to your drive folders. So if I come to this page, it's going to take me to a specific emoji website. In this one, it's copypastecharacter.com. So if I want to add an emoji to a file or a folder within my drive, I'm going to come to it. So let's say I take this flower. I'm going to right click on the flower. Whoops. And I don't want to look it up. Actually, let me highlight it. I can copy it, and then I'm going to come all the way back to my drive. Let's say I want to put that little flower next to my name. When I click on my folder here, I'm going to right click and I'm going to say rename. I'm going to keep the actual words that I have there, but I'm just going to do a copy paste in front of it and say okay. And you can see now it has this teeny tiny little flower. And again, that's just for fun. Some people like to take some of these emojis and, put them on their drive folders. So I just wanted to point that out if you're somebody that wants to jazz up your drive. So as you can see, there are definitely many more tips and tricks on here that I did not cover because I wanted to make sure that I stayed within the time. But I definitely want to point out to you, you can get to this document by the bit.ly shortcut at the top. It is also located on my blog, zumpanotechlab.blogspot.com as well. And you can find that even by Googling my name. And I want to point out 2 other links that are on the bottom of this that are kind of unrelated to these tips and tricks, but related in the same time. You could see this is a hyperdoc here of a bunch of different pages that I put together. I've also put together a calendar of technology to-dos for the entire year. And this basically, because we're coming more digital in our lifestyle, this is just a tech check, a task a month to complete. So there is information there if you're interested. There's a link to that at the bottom of the Google Tips and Tricks. And then there's one more. And again, this is not an extensive list. These are just tips and tricks that work for me personally as a coach and as an adjunct professor. So I wanted to point those out to you. But if you have any more awesome tips and tricks that you think I missed, I have a link on the bottom to a Padlet. And this is open to the public. You can come here and you can add additional tips and tricks that you think should be included on the document. So I am Nicole, and I hope you enjoyed the Google Workflow tips and tricks today. And I hope you found something that was helpful.